Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Colette Ambo. Coming up, $25.9 million Pointe Michel Sea Defense and Road Reinstatement project officially commissioned. Bria Bank donates 52 iPads to the Jones Obopia Primary School, and the 2014 Grade 6 National Assessment reveals satisfactory improvement. Stay tuned for these and other stories after this.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
The long-anticipated results of the Grade 6 National Assessment reveals what the Ministry of Education is considering a satisfactory improvement from the previous year. 1,057 Grade 6 students were assessed in math, language arts, science, and social studies, out of which 80 were awarded scholarships and 116 bursaries. The results were disclosed and analyzed in a press conference on Friday. Students averaged 65% this year as compared to 60% in 2013. The data shows that generally the students averaged C's, with the highest scorers being females.
The results show an improvement over the 2013, when we registered a 60% average score on all papers. This year, 2014, we have recorded a 65% average percentage pass. This, to my mind, is significant as it reflects the continuing efforts of the Ministry of Education to improve student performance at the Grade 6 National Assessment. Our biggest concern remains that of low performance of a small number of males. About 90 or 17% of our boys obtained low grades. The data shows that only about 9% of our girls fell in that category. This indicates clearly to us that our boys continue to be at risk, and as such, I wish to make a renewed call for parents and indeed the community at large to provide more support and encouragement to our boys.
The 5% average improvement is attributed to more focused attention by all involved.
The exams have been set for a number of years. They have a similar format. I think teachers, parents, and a number of other resource persons are getting very familiar with how we do and set the papers. So I think there's a lot of practice, a lot of teachers, a lot of students do a lot of extra work on those areas. And maybe they find them a little bit easier than the subjects like the mathematics and the language arts. So that maybe there's no specific thrust we have in science or social studies per se, other than the usual sorts of things with fairs and the like, which the schools do. There's been perhaps a greater thrust, I think, in mathematics and language, because we know there's deficiencies in those areas. In the two areas of science and social studies, there clearly is less deficiencies at this stage, I should they seem to add. And students and the teachers have worked well at that.
The island's Chief Education Officer, Milena Fontaine, upon revealing the results, assured that the Education Ministry will now focus on providing education support to schools.
We will spend some time doing an in-depth analysis of the examinations in order to determine the schools where we must provide more support. We not only look at the scholars and bursars, but also the students who receive D's and E's in the examinations. Over the years, we have seen a decrease of those in some schools, and we want that trend to continue. Our DEOs, our district development, our district education officers, our curriculum officers, learning support and special ed officers will be working collaboratively to address the problems and provide the support that is needed.
The ministry reports that increased curriculum support is also a factor in the improvement. The island's top performers were predominantly female. In first position, Doniel Rivera of the St. Martin's Primary School, followed by Jeanne Rabes, also of St. Martin's Primary. Alicia Roberts of Convent Prep came third, and the top male performer, fourth, was Ludovic Robinson of the Roosevelt Douglas Primary School. Kelsey Anthony of St. Martin's Primary came fifth. The $25.9 million Sea Defense Wall and Road Reinstatement project was officially commissioned on Friday. The ceremony featured addresses from Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Minister for Public Works, Energy and Ports Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Parliamentary Representative for the Soufriere constituency Honorable Sam Martin, and the Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Public Works, Kendall Johnson. The Pointe Michel Sea Defense and Road Reinstatement project entailed the construction of a reinforced concrete seawall, reinstatement of the roadway to facilitate free flow of traffic, construction of surface drains and culverts, construction of sidewalks and parking spaces, and rock revetment and scour protection to limit wave overtopping. Construction work on the project commenced in April 2011 and was completed in August 2012. It was funded through a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank and is consistent with Dominica's development objectives and priorities. Friday's official commissioning also included the handing over of vending stalls. GIS News will bring you more details of that ceremony in a subsequent newscast. 100 individuals received certificates on Monday for their participation in a series of one-day seminars held during Tourism Awareness Month. Speaking on behalf of Minister for Tourism, Honorable Ian Douglas, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Steve Hyacinth, congratulated the awardees for making tourism their business.
Tourism is everybody's business. And sometimes we may be taking this lightly, but it's a fact. If we intend to have a dynamic tourism industry, it has to be everybody's business. No one is exempted. Everyone has a critical part to play in its success. And I'm happy to be here this morning because you have recognized that. And you have offered yourself to be in a forum where you can learn certain aspects of your work that will help you to be a better person, to help you to be a better person working within the industry. And one of the critical things that's important as you move forward is to understand that you are in a service industry. Tourism is a service industry.
The seminars were organized by the Discover Dominica Authority in an effort to refresh the minds of tourism service providers in key components of the industry and to ensure that the key players in the sector are well equipped to achieve excellence in their respective fields. DDA anticipates that participants will apply the knowledge gained to their respective fields in order to enhance the overall visitor experience and thus aid the country in reaching its goal of 90,000 stayover tourists by 2015. The 6-unit apartment building in Silver Lake Housing is weeks away from completion, and officials say no shortcuts have been taken. On Thursday, Parliamentary Representative Honorable Ambo George took a tour of the structure and is satisfied that the building is of the best quality for residents. With 2 single and 4 two-bedroom units, the low-cost housing option, Honorable George says the government has done well. As a matter of fact, the minister says the building will be used as a model for similar projects in the future. The minister considers the project a personal success for his constituents as well.
It is something that I've been looking forward to. It's something that has concerned me from the day I became the parliamentary representative, that is in 2000, in terms of the housing conditions of the people of Silver Lake. In fact, what we have done over the years from 2000 onwards is that we have attempted to improve some of the longhouses. There was one that we actually rebuilt. We had also been providing housing assistance to facilitate some of the other accommodation here in the Silver Lake area. But that in itself was what we could refer to as a piecemeal approach, meaning that we were sort of improving, yes, but not in a manner that we would like to see. But this new facility, this new apartment building, is really the beginning of the transformation of the housing conditions for the people of Silver Lake. So I feel very good. I feel very happy. I think I see myself as having achieved part of the mandate, part of the objectives that I had in mind for the people of Silver Lake, and in terms of what is happening further through the constituency, what I had wanted to achieve on behalf of the people of the Roseau South constituency.
Based on feedback from the community, he says Silver Lake residents are pleased.
The people of Silver Lake have been elated from day one when we had the groundbreaking ceremony and the commencement of the actual construction of this facility. And throughout, they have been looking forward to the end of the construction of this facility. They have also been looking forward and have been engaged in actual employment in the construction of this facility. So from the fact that they have been employed gainfully, the fact that some of the residents will be in new accommodation, and that in itself will improve on their own esteem and the standard of living, I think that augurs well and is well accepted and well received by the residents of Silver Lake.
Project contractor Felix Thomas says with 47 employed throughout the project and the use of the best industry practices, the apartment is a notable achievement of government. Close collaboration between the housing division and the construction team also played a role in the quality of the building. Overall, Thomas says the project is a success.
I still maintain that we have been on time. We have had some setbacks in terms of weather, where some 52 days, 57 days, working days had been lost, because you remember from October, December of 2013, we had this, trough system that never really gave in, running all through January, February. So we lost a considerable amount of time. What assisted us, though, is the high number of persons, skilled persons who were employed on that project, at the highest number at any one time, where we reached up to 47 persons, employed on that project. And that does not include the number of truck drivers who are involved in transportation of excavated material and transportation of material, operators, small machine operators who are involved in excavation and earth movements. So we have been doing very, very, very well.
At this time, only final touches are left to be done, and the residents have already been identified by government. Honorable George expects that the announcement will be made soon. A number of persons will be elevated from deplorable living conditions like this to a new top-quality home at no cost to them. The Australian government, through its Direct Aid program, has approved a grant of US $18,591 to assist the Dominica Association of Local Community Authorities to execute its enhanced community capacity and preparedness project. President of the Dominica Association of Local Community Authorities, Yolande John Jules, explained that the grant funds were used to procure community response equipment.
That is for the enhancement to enhance community capacity and preparedness. You know, the trough passed in December, and the equipment received was specifically for the Fire and Emergency Department of the Fire and Ambulance Services, and for the trough affected areas such as Loubier, Newtown, Bave Estate, and Cochrane.
The equipment were officially handed over during a ceremony at the Office of Disaster Management on Friday. And that's news. Kerdisha St. Louis is up next with a recap of this week's headline stories.
Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback. In the headlines this week, an agreement has been signed between the governments of Dominica and the Republic of Chile for the exemption from visa requirements for holders of diplomatic and official passports. The nation's leader and finance minister, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, revealed that in his upcoming budget estimates, Dominicans will not face any major fiscal cuts. The Alpha Center celebrated 40 years of existence on Monday, June 23rd, with an official opening ceremony to launch a week of activities. Civil servants can look forward to a multi-dimensional Public Service Day observance this year under the theme, An Efficient Service, a Sustainable Future. The event was officially launched on Wednesday, June 25th at the Fort Young Hotel. Organizers of this year's World Creole Music Festival have announced plans to expose patrons to 10 genres of music during the 18th edition of Dominica's premier musical event to be hosted at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium from October 24th to the 26th. Dominica joined countries across the globe in raising awareness against drug abuse and illicit trafficking on Thursday, June 26th, in the observance of International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Award-winning painter and sculptor Roger Burnett hosted an exhibition entitled A New Lease on Life at the Old Mill Cultural Center this week. Officials of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation say they are experiencing overwhelming interest from the public towards their latest recycling program. 41 students graduated from the Pierre Charles Secondary School on Wednesday and 5 on Monday from the Orion Academy. The $25.9 million Pointe Michel Sea Defense Wall and roadway reinstatement was officially commissioned on Friday. And the results of the GSAT exams were officially released on Friday. Those were the headline stories which made the news this week. Back to you, Colette.
And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le ministère de l'Éducation bien plaisir pour annoncer les résultats examination grade 6 pour l'année 2014. L'année celle-là, il y a 1000 avec 57 étudiants écrits examination là. Résultat qu'a montré étudiant Doniel Rivière, de l'école Sainte-Martine, sorti à tête. Johnny Rabes aussi, de l'école Sainte-Martine, deuxième. Alicia Roberts, Convent Prep, troisième. Ludovic Robinson, Rosie Douglas Primary, quatrième. Et puis cinquième, Kelsey Anthony, de l'école Sainte-Martine. Gouvernement a awardé 8 scholarships et puis 11 avec 17 bursaries l'année là. Étudiants qui sélectés pour un ou deux, qui reçoivent des formes ou là, ils ont édité l'école là, ils veulent attendre. D'autres occasions, tout le pays là, qui fait même bagaille. En même temps, le ministère de l'Éducation, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, fait parole qu'a consigné les résultats là.
Résultat Grade 6 National Assessment, ça nous a accoutumé crier Common Entrance Exams. Nous avons vu que généralement, c'est maman il a fait en moyen mais passé l'année passée. L'année passée, nous avons 60% d'enfants qui ont fait bien en tout sujet. Et l'année là, nous avons 67% de ces enfants-là qui écrivent l'examen qui ont fait bien en tout sujet. Généralement, nous pouvons dire que nous avons ces enfants-là qui ont augmenté en manière de performer en l'examen.
Selon Honorable Saint-Jean, il y a une place pour étudiants faire meilleur.
Nous avons comme ministre, comme gouvernement, qui a toujours une place pour nous augmenter en manière d'enfants qui peuvent faire mieux. Puisque nous, les arrivés en place, là, nous savons tous les enfants qui font bien. Pour raison ça, là, nous avons mis différents programmes et stratégies en place en ces écoles là, en ministre de l'Éducation, pour nous tous les enfants faire bien. Parce que c'est pour changer qui mission nous et objectif nous en ministre de l'Éducation, c'est pour tous les enfants faire bien.
En notre nouvelle, travail qui a bien formidable à ce projet Apartment à Silver Lake. Membre Parlement Honorable Ambo George visité le projet là à jeudi.
Ça qu'a fait, c'est pour aider ces gens-là à recevoir cases qui moderne, cases qui bien, qui primaire, parce que ça y a été maintenant. Parce que il y a en haut du longhouse, nous avons ça en Silver Lake. La monde qui a été, ce longhouse a été bâti en 1979 avec yo arrivé en manière comme si il n'y a pas forcé, pas bien aussi pour continuer à vivre en dehors. So, le gouvernement prend une décision pour bâtir appartement building ça. C'est une facilité qui a 6 appartements, 4 des chambres et bedrooms, facilité avec des chambres, un bedroom facility. C'est 6 familles au Silver Lake qui étaient dans l'appartement building ça.
On a nouvelle projet Miwai l'année la Pointe officiellement ouvert jeudi. Projet 25,9 millions de dollars salam. Bâti un loan que le gouvernement obtenu hot Banque Développement Kawaïb. Cérémonie pour te ouvert grand projet salam. Te attendu par Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Ministre Public Works Honorable Ribbon Blackmore, Membre Parlement Honorable Sam Martin et Chief Technical Officer Kendall Johnson en parmi d'autres officiers. Projet ça la voit en gros miwai la me bâti, mais chimé la guanti et puis en bien pitch, dal et puis calvot bâti, sidewalks et puis place pour gawe voiture aussi bâti. Projet là aussi voit mise gros wash mettez en lamela pour empêcher la condition de dommage si lamela mauvais. Projet là commencé en l'année 2011 et puis fini à l'année 2012. Cérémonie a aussi voué River Days, aussi voué Stall, ou la Yoke Savane, produit ailleurs. Finalement, étudiants, yon de l'école tapé autant d'informations qu'a concerné drogue avant de participer en quiz, que le département drogue a organisé comme par journée internationale au contre drogue. Parole ça là, sur le chef département drogue Dominique, Jacinta Banes.
Je tape l'eau en me laissant en contre drogue. So, les nouveaux informations là-bas, les teachers là, yo information là c'est bien haut pour l'âge là. But moi que dis moi même t'es surprise. Les moments où commencer timon là answer question là yo mette yo ba yo. Et puis mon cas dit ces enfants yo ni l'eau information. Et puis, ça fait un lot contre drugs à Dominique.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en Creole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson, Luce. Et bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next, tips to keep you safe on the road.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is 2 courts in 1? The CCJ has 2 functions, an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
In-studio discussions, Insight, Creole News, Road to the Throne, Calypso, Creole Festival, Carnival, and lots more local programming. See it all on the Government Information Service, your first for local news.
Here are a few tips to keep in mind while on the road to and from your destinations. Don't drive drunk. Don't speed. Avoid distractions such as eating or using your cell phone while driving. Don't drive drowsy. If you are aware that you are going to drive a long distance, take sufficient rest. Ensure you wear your seatbelt properly at all times. Be extra careful in bad weather, especially when experiencing poor visibility due to fog or heavy rain. Keep a safe distance from the vehicle ahead of you. And finally, vehicle maintenance isn't just an important way to extend your car's life. It's a major safety issue. So ensure your motor vehicle is running smoothly. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can always catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the GIS News production team, I'm Colette Ambo. Thanks for watching.